Good evening and welcome to the River Valley Sports Report. I'm your host, Joe Brooks, here again with my co-host, Joey Powers. Tonight, we're going to dive into what's been happening with Fall Mountain and Bellows Falls as their fall sports seasons roll on here. We're going to preview for you about the next 10 days worth of games, as well as get into our usual let's catch up, our random top fives, and another random athlete that I think I'm going to be able to stump Joey on tonight. So as we get ready to go into this, let's dive right into it. And Joey, go ahead and get us started.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Fall Mountain's golf team dropped to 2-7 on the season, dropping all three matches in their home opener. Senior Owen T2 led the Wildcats with 21 points, while Carson Burgess posted 16 points for the home team.
The Fall Mountain girls volleyball team rebounded after a tough opening season loss with a 3-1 victory over visiting Mascoma. Senior outside hitter Maybelle Dussault led the way with some powerful swings while providing the energy her team needed to fuel off for the victory. Avery Richardson and Madeline St. Pierre also played a large role in the Cats, evening their record to 1-1 on the season.
Bellows Falls girls soccer hosted Pulteney in their home opener and shined on the home field with a 5-1 victory. Sophomore Gracie Patterson had a hat trick for the Terriers. Juniors Grace Hayes and Abby Nystrom completed the scoring for the Terriers, while junior Natalie Douglas controlled the net.
Fall Mountain boys soccer hosted Prospect Mountain. The Wildcats fell to 0-2-1 with a 1-0 loss.
The Fall Mountain girls soccer team dropped their first match of the season in a 5-1 decision on the road against Prospect Mountain. The lone goal scored by the Cats was by sophomore Susie Thibault, her third of the season.
The Fall Mountain football team kicked off their season hosting Stevens under the lights in the annual Silver Bowl. The Wildcats struggled in the opener to a strong Stevens team with a 40-6 loss. Senior Max Wyman hit senior Tanya Michaud for a 48-yard touchdown for the Wildcats' lone score of the game. Wyman totaled 69 yards in the air, while Michaud hauled in 2 passes for 49 yards. Paul Young was the team's leading rusher with 8 carries for 25 yards. The Wildcats struggled defensively, giving up 400 yards of total offense to the Cardinals.
Bellows Falls field hockey got off to a 2-0 start with a 2-1 victory in the home opener. Despite a 90-minute weather delay due to lightning, the Terriers sophomore Avery Maxfield and McKenna Applegate both scored for the Terriers, with Veronica Moore adding an assist in the win. Applegate, a freshman, tallied her first varsity goal.
Bellows Falls football opened their season at home with a resounding 44-0 victory over Windsor. The Terriers' offense was led by Patrick Connors with 185 yards and 2 scores. Jaden Bazin had 122 yards and a score. Senior quarterback Declan Leasai ran for 2 scores. Junior Briar Barnett also rounded out the game's scoring with a touchdown as well. The running game was driven by a tremendous effort from the offensive front of Brockton Lovell, Ben Rumrell, Stephen Joslin, Cam Perry, Rylan Ernst, and tight end Jacob Tostrup. Paved the way for 400-plus rushing yards for Bellows Falls in this game. Defensively, the Terriers surrendered only 22 yards and 1 first down to the Yellow Jackets. With the victory, Bellows Falls also took home the Dale Perkins Trophy. The last time these two teams met up for this trophy was 2012.
The Fall Mountain girls soccer team dropped their first match of the season in a 5-1 decision on the road against Prospect Mountain. The lone goal scored by the Cats was by sophomore Susie Thibault, her third of the season. Fall Mountain girls soccer team fell to rivals Stevens by a score of 4-0. This was the annual Charity Cup. Violet Colburn had 17 saves in net for the Wildcats.
The Bellows Falls girls soccer team continued their hot start with a thrilling 3-2 overtime victory over Proctor Academy. The victory brings the Terriers' record to 3-0 on the young season.
The Fall Mountain boys soccer team also played host to rival Stevens. The boys team came away with a 1-1 draw to put their record at 0-2-2 on the young season.
The Fall Mountain volleyball team improved their record on the season to 2-1 with a 3-0 victory over Conant High School.
The Bellows Falls field hockey team ran their record to 3-0 with a thrilling OT victory over Brattleboro. Brattleboro controlled the action in the first quarter. Bellows Falls controlled the pace for the remainder of the game. Bellows Falls continued to attack the goal, but some tremendous defensive effort in goaltending kept the Terriers off the scoreboard. Junior goalie Brooke Parker was on her game in this one. She had 3 saves in her shutout. In the overtime period, the Terriers were relentless on their attack. With about 4 minutes to go in the overtime period, Veronica Moore led a breakaway from midfield, and as her momentum got stopped, she was able to find her sophomore teammate, Haven Hardy, who hit a perfect one-timer into the back of the goal, sealing the victory for the Terriers.
The Fall Mountain golf team traveled to Poname Golf Course for a match hosted by Wilton High School. Fall Mountain would go 1-2 on the day, improving their season record to 3-9. The Wildcats made this a close match, posting 72 points, while Hillsborough had 74 and Belmont had 73.
The Fall Mountain Wildcats volleyball team saw their record fall to 2-2 on the season with a straight set 3-0 loss on the road to the John Stark Generals in Ware, New Hampshire.
All right, and that's what we have for sports results this week. Now we're going to run a little preview of what we've got for the next upcoming 10 days or so of local sports. All right, so we're diving into our Let's Catch Up segment, Joey, that we do every week. This week, I'm going to kind of look at baseball again, but in a little 3 different segments we're going to talk about tonight. The first thing we're going to talk about is, should baseball consider shortening their regular season?
I would say yes. I mean, 162 games, you're pretty much playing 6 games a week.
Right.
Most weeks you're playing 6 games a week. You know, generally Wednesday or Thursday rather is the travel day.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yes.
But you think about it, how much regular season baseball do you generally watch once football starts?
Well, that's the thing. You're absolutely right. I mean, I used to be a 162 a game guy. Like when I was younger, I lived and died to watch baseball. It was every single night I needed it. But now they started earlier in March. They started in March now. A lot of times the regular season doesn't really allow them to get October baseball. Now the World Series is in November.
Right.
Because they've added the extra playoff team. So like I can remember a few years back, Philadelphia and Tampa Bay played in the World Series and there was snow in the World Series.
Right.
Like as far as the baseball fan, like I don't want to see snow in the World Series.
No.
Like that. So to me, I think that they could consider it. I know that the money talks and everything like that.
Absolutely.
And then of course you've got all the records and everything else like that. But in reality, I don't see, like you said, who watches baseball every night once football starts?
I haven't. I mean, to me, I stopped watching baseball during the regular season until the playoffs because I'm just. Football, we talked about this last week. Football is pretty much on every single night now.
Right.
You know, between college and NFL, they play every day.
Right.
And I'm always going to watch football over baseball. It's more fast paced for me, you know?
Right.
I mean, baseball, there's a lot of standing around, a lot of watching, you know? I mean, I do like the fact that they did have the timer now, so the game is sped up more.
The pitch clock does speed up the game, so you don't have to commit. I mean, you and I grew up in the era of the Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees playing 6 or 7 hour games on a Sunday night basis.
Yes, absolutely.
With 20 pitching changes, coming out to talk about everything else. So the pitching clock has absolutely made a world of difference as far as like my enjoyment of watching games when I can sit and watch a game. But
exactly.
There's too many games to pay attention to everything. So you kind of pick and choose like, oh, they're playing a good series here, so maybe I'll tune into this.
Right, exactly.
Whereas like I said, I used to, if they were on, I watched. If they got rained out, I was frustrated because I didn't have anything to watch that night.
Right.
Now if I tune into the radio 2 nights a week, I feel like I've done my part. So,
right, exactly.
So I don't know if it's my age and me telling people to get off my lawn type of thing, or if it's really just an overfill of baseball from the 46 years I've been on this planet and been a baseball fan. But I do feel like there's a little oversaturation and maybe the 162 may be a little too much.
I mean, it is a lot.
And now with the additional playoff round, it changes it even more.
It does. It is. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I get the stats, the records and stuff like that. But I mean, like we're probably going to talk about it in the next part of this segment anyway, but how many of those records are really valid anymore?
Right. I mean, especially like the batting records. Who's going to break Ichiro's hit record now? Hits don't count. No. They don't care about hits. Yeah, Who's ever going to break the RBI record?
Exactly.
They don't care about RBIs.
No.
Maybe the home run record will go down because of launch angle and everything else, but most of those batting stats aren't going to go away. And who's going to be a 3,000 strikeout pitcher? Who's going to be the next 300 win pitcher? There may not be.
Probably won't be. You're right. Because pitchers don't pitch long into games as much as they used to back in the day. I mean, Roger Clemens, it wouldn't be nothing for him to throw 100, 130, 135 pitches in a complete game.
Right. In order to have a better win-loss record, you typically have to go to the 7th, 8th inning to kind of guarantee you're that winning pitcher.
Exactly.
At least back in the day. Now, if you get 5 innings, they turn it over to 4 bullpen guys, and you pitched great for 5 innings, but you left the game half the game up to the rest of the team. So
Basically, regular season baseball has turned into postseason baseball.
yeah,
After
essentially.
the fifth inning, you have the lead. Your bullpen's warming up.
Yeah.
You know, and they're just playing to win with the score that you have right now.
It's all back to those nerds in baseball, Joey. All back to the nerds in
Absolutely,
baseball.
you're right.
All right, so let's move on to our next topic here and let's catch up, which is, has expanded the playoffs created a mediocre field?
Kinda.
I agree.
I definitely think so.
You're starting to see the teams get in close to 500 records,
yeah.
which
That's not a playoff team.
Which I didn't like in football either. When you started seeing the 8-8 teams and stuff get in,
Right.
And so I do think it has watered it down. I mean, when we were first watching baseball, there were only two divisions.
Two divisions, yeah.
So like it was really hard to get in. That's why when you go back past like the 80s, the playoff stats for guys like Mickey Mantle and Ted Williams and stuff,
junk.
they're basically nothing compared to like, I remember when we were growing up, Bernie Williams became the all-time leading playoff hits guy. It was because he'd played in
The Yankees made the playoffs every year.
And then they had a wild card round, they had a championship
And they went to
series
the
round,
World
and
Series a lot.
So he was playing 10 to 12 games a season where Ted Williams might have got 10 to 12 games in a 3-season playoff back then.
Exactly. No,
So the playoff stats are kind of blown out in that
big
facet.
time. Big time.
So I do think that it is also a little watered down because I agree, 500 shouldn't get you in. I know it's a lot of games. You play a lot of games. We just talked about that. You play all season long.
Yeah.
But come on, I just give me the best teams.
I mean, 500 is mediocre.
And I know they want to do it for money. They got to bring in the revenue. They got, it helps you sell your team, sell more tickets, et cetera, et cetera. But parity in football is one of my things that I don't like about the NFL, and I'm afraid baseball may head that same way if they continue expanding.
I absolutely agree. Yeah. They definitely, the expanded playoffs, don't need it. You already play 162 games.
If you're not good enough to make the playoffs after 162, what's one more?
Exactly.
So now we'll move on to another topic here in baseball. Now, this is something that we both hold near and dear to our hearts.
Yes.
We played fantasy baseball at this time. We loved our teams at that time, and we argued about who was better, who was the best, would anyone break records. The steroid era, I'm sorry, it was awesome. The pitching, the hitting, all of it.
Two of my favorite players of all time in baseball, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
Both obviously.
You can't name a player back then that wasn't at least mentioned to have done.
Mentioned, exactly.
Maybe,
that's the thing.
Maybe Griffey Jr.
Maybe, yeah.
He's maybe the only one who's kind of avoided all of that stigma from that era. But everybody else, and I mean, it's not even the home run hitters.
No.
I remember looking at when Nomar Garcia-Parra came up. He was a little tiny dude, and then he showed up on Sports Illustrated's cover the next year, ripping shirts off.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, come on now, this is crazy.
I mean, obviously Bonds is like the cover boy.
Right.
I mean, you look at him one year, and then look how big his head got.
Yes.
Like, I mean, physically, not just.
Yeah, no, his head was huge.
It was enormous. Yeah. And you're talking about a guy that in 1992, I don't know if this is still the record, but at the time, he was the only player in Major League Baseball history to hit 300, score 100 runs, drive in 100 runs, hit 30 home runs, and still 50 bases in the same year, and have over 100 walks.
Yeah.
He
was
and slugging over 500 slugging and 450 on base percentage.
Yeah. And I forget the numbers of like intentional walks he got, but back when he hit like the 73 home run season, he was getting intentionally walked 3 times a game sometimes.
I think they said he had more intentional walks that one year than like all the other teams combined had.
I wouldn't necessarily disbelieve that.
I mean, it was like 200 and something He got intentionally walked twice in 1 year.
It was a whole
with the
thing.
Bases loaded.
It was a whole thing. I mean, they didn't want to pitch to him.
That is insane.
Yeah, no, it absolutely was.
1 year, bases loaded. Yeah. They still intentionally.
Yeah, I mean, they literally built ballparks to try to contain him out on the NL West. Yeah. The one San Diego plays, and I can't think of the name of it right now. Petco.
Petco.
Yeah,
yep.
That one was built specifically to keep Barry Bonds in the yard because they were trying to beat the Giants back then. But I mean, you even look at the pitching back then, Joey. The Pedro Martinez's, the Andy Pettit's, to be able to get those guys out at that time. One of my favorite memories of all time, and most Boston Red Sox fans my age would have one of the same memories, other than winning the 04 World Series. The 99 All-Star game, Pedro striking out.
Insane.
Striking out the murderer's row of those guys was unbelievable and will forever. I mean, Tony Gwynn talking to Ted Williams before the game was awesome as well.
Probably the two best hitters of their generation.
Probably.
You know, I don't think anybody would really argue Tony Gwynn.
His overall hitter? No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I mean, maybe his exit velocity wouldn't necessarily line up, but
one of the best pure hitters I've ever seen.
But the guy could put the ball where he wanted to, and
yes,
you know, it was unbelievable. I mean, I do remember him almost hitting 400 a couple times there, and he was fun to watch. Sure, he wasn't a power guy, and he may not play in the modern baseball world, but man, back then
his era, he was the best. He was.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Fun fact: Mark McGwire broke Roger Maris's home run record on my 18th birthday.
No kidding.
I was watching the game. They were playing the Cubs. They were playing the Cubs.
Remember the game.
Sammy Sosa, like they hugged at first base.
Yep, I do remember the game.
That was my 18th birthday.
Well, that's fantastic.
That was cool.
All right, so we both agree. Steroid era.
It was still fun.
Awesome.
I don't care.
The pitching, the hitters.
It was exciting.
It was man on man, just heads up, go for it. Like best on best. It was pretty wild times, and you knew what was being done. I mean, a guy like Luis Gonzalez came from hitting 17 home runs, being
50.
being skinnier than most people in high school, and then all of a sudden he's jacked and gets a bleeder off of Mariano Rivera that's off his hands that somehow goes to the outfield. It's like, you don't break a bat and get a hit off Mariano Rivera.
No, that doesn't happen.
Unless something's going on. So
exactly.
So, but it did make for some great baseball.
Yeah,
some great
it did. It was entertaining.
And I certainly enjoyed the long ball back then.
Oh, yeah, me too.
All right, so now we're going to move on to our next topic here, Joey. So we like to do some top 5 stuff. So tonight what we're going to do is we're just going to riddle off our top 5 favorite athletes of all time. So we're just going to make one list here. We're going to go 5 to 1. So we'll start with Joey. Joey, starting this list, who would you say is your 5th favorite athlete of all time?
It's tough. I'd probably say my 5th favorite athlete of all time was probably Clyde Drexler. He's my favorite basketball player of all time. He probably would have had a few league MVPs if he wasn't playing in the same era as Michael Jordan. No. But Michael Jordan just hogged MVPs. He probably also would have had a couple of, he did win one title with the Rockets, but he probably, if it wasn't for the Bad Boys and Michael Jordan, a couple of those Trailblazers teams probably would have won. They were the best. They were the second best team both those years.
Yeah, they were very good.
And I don't know why, because he was kind of like, the it guard at the time. When I really started focusing, it was right after Magic Johnson had to retire because of the HIV. Yeah. But Clyde Drexler was really like the number 2 guard in the NBA. Yeah. And I always hated Michael Jordan and the Bulls. So Clyde Drexler.
It was natural.
Yeah, so Clyde Drexler just became, that's why I'm a Knicks fan, because the Knicks were their biggest rival too. Yeah. So Clyde Drexler was always my favorite basketball player.
Nice. So I'm going to add to our list, the 4th favorite athlete for me would be a guy that I just kind of liked watching back in the day because he played the game differently. Now we'd play the game the way it's played now, but back then he played it differently. That's Reggie Miller. I hate Reggie Miller. He went to UCLA. I was a UCLA basketball fan. He shot threes before shooting threes all the time was a thing.
Oh, one of the best shooters of all time.
Clutch things. As I know you're a Knicks fan.
You're killing me.
You're gonna absolutely hate to hear this reminiscing, but I've never seen anything like
nobody has.
Like the game that he won with 12 seconds to go down, and he hit 3 threes and stole the ball.
He scored 8 points in like 8 seconds.
Yeah, it was unreal. And I mean, I just remember I was probably a mid-teenager at the time, and Spike Lee trash talking him, and Reggie Miller just not phased, and
not at all.
And I loved shooters forever, and he was really one of the first shooters.
Yeah, one of the best pure shooters in the game ever.
So for me, he's our 4th athlete on this list, despite your despisement of him.
Oh, I absolutely hate him. I have the ESPN 30 for 30. One of them is called Winning Time. Reggie Miller, not the Pacers. Yeah. Reggie Miller versus the New York Knicks. Right. I mean, that's just...
He did it more than once. That's the one game
that's how brutal he was to the Knicks, though. That's how brutal he was. It wasn't just one time. It was like every time.
He was on the big stage.
And it was always at the Garden.
He always took over the big stage. He did it at the Fleet Center in the Boston Garden different times, too. Yeah. I remember... towards the end of Larry Bird's career, late 90s when Bird was on his back a lot, with back injuries. Yeah. And Chuck Person and Reggie Miller came in with the Pacers, and Rick Smits and
the Dutchman.
Yeah, and Reggie Miller lit them up too. And it was so even when he was against my team, I still wanted him to do well, but have my team.
Yeah. I hear you.
All right, so let's get to number 3, Joey.
Mine would be Ryan Sandberg.
Okay.
He was my favorite baseball player growing up. he another person just played the game the right way.
Yep.
You know, I mean, he hit a home run. He just rounded the bases. You know, I mean, you know, he'd steal, he'd bunt if he had to, do whatever to do to help his team win. Unfortunately, he never did get to win a World Series with the Cubs.
Did win an MVP, right?
He did win an MVP in 1984 and a home run crown in 1990. 10-time All-Star, 9-time Gold Glove winner. At the time, he had the record for most consecutive games without an error in infield,
I do remember that, yeah.
not non-first baseman with 123 straight games, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's most of a season.
For a second baseman, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And he could steal too. You know, he stole 52 bases one year. Yeah. You know, so I mean, he was just all around a good player. Took him 3 tries to get in the Hall of Fame, which I still don't understand why.
Because it's baseball.
Yeah.
I believe Mariano Rivera is the only first ballot.
No, Jeter was too. No, there's a lot of Wade Boggs.
Unanimous.
Yeah,
unanimous is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Rivera, I think, was unanimous.
Wade Boggs and Ryan Sandberg were inducted the same year.
Yeah.
But it was Wade Boggs' first try, and it was Sandberg's third try. But I mean, I'm glad he got in, but I still thought he was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a great player. I enjoyed watching him play over the years. Wrigley Field, he was kind of the face of the Cubs, so it was fun. So number 2 on our list, Joey, I don't know if it's more legend, more athlete, Bo Jackson.
Yeah, athlete.
I mean, it's as much a legend as it was an athlete because his career was shortened by the injury against the Bengals. His hip came out of socket there. But man, the things that he did. There was a season where he made the All-Star game and the Pro Bowl in the same year. He ran for 1,000 yards that season in 7 games.
Yeah.
He hit 30 home runs in the season. I mean, the dude was just wild.
He literally climbed a wall.
Yeah, and high-fived the guy.
Yeah. He climbed the wall
and
in baseball.
And you've seen his first ever hit is absolutely wild. There was a routine ground ball to second base that he beat out.
Yeah.
Like, nobody does that.
I mean, you could be arguably talking about the greatest athlete that ever lived.
Yeah.
If he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
God knows what. He'd probably be in Cooperstown.
Or if he chose one. Imagine if he just chose one of those sports.
Should have been football.
I would agree with that, but I think either one of them.
Oh, he would have been a Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. He could have been in both if he'd stayed healthy.
Do you remember Pro Stars?
Yes.
Who was it? It was Michael Jordan, Bo Jackson, and Wayne Gretzky.
Yes.
Yes. That was a cartoon growing up. I remember that.
And I also remember Pros versus Joes was a show they had. And I remember Bo Jackson challenging just regular people like me and you to just sporting events. It was like in the Minnesota Metrodome. It was a show in like the 80s.
That's cool.
So it was just Pros versus Joes. They have a home run hitting contest against just random guys that showed up, and it was absolutely phenomenal. But I mean, between the Tecmo Bowl legend of Bo Jackson, just everything that he did as an athlete, and just winning the Heisman Trophy, running over Brian Bosworth.
Yeah,
so much of what he did in that short span is remembered because of how much of a freak athlete he was.
Yeah.
Just so many of his plays. The reason he got hurt is because he was so strong, he dragged a guy 5 yards who was holding on to his leg.
Yeah.
He was running a 4.2 40 down the field, and here comes a guy holding on. I'm just going to pull you. And unfortunately, pulled his hip out. Absolutely unbelievable, the stuff the guy did. So anyways.
Do you remember how dominant him and Marcus Allen were in Tecmo Super Bowl?
God, yeah.
Nobody wanted to play against the Raiders in Tecmo Super Bowl.
You didn't even have to throw the ball.
No, you didn't have to have a quarterback. Just someone to hand the ball
Right,
off.
and then you just run into the guys, and if they
you could tackle them.
Nope, you could go backwards.
Yeah.
And score a touchdown.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. The legend.
It's so much fun.
So yeah, so Bo Jackson's my number 2 athlete in our list.
I thought about it, and I got to go Randy Moss. It kind of killed me when he went to the Patriots. But what a year him and Brady had.
Yep.
I've always respected Jerry Rice. I think he's the greatest receiver of all time. But I was really like, when Randy Moss broke his single season record for most touchdowns in a season, and Jerry Rice was kind of petty about it.
Yeah.
He was like, I did it in 14. He did it in 16. Why can't you just congratulate the guy?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Jerry Rice, whatever. I guess in a way he has a point, but why can't you just be like, congratulations, Randy Moss? Because he had a monster year that year. Him and Brady had a connection like no quarterback or receiver had ever had for 1 year.
Yeah, no, I mean, the first game, I believe they threw 4 touchdowns to Moss, if I remember correctly, in the Dolphins game. I think it was 4 touchdowns, like 2 of them were 50-yard bombs, and it was just over before it started.
I mean, he revived Randall Cunningham's career.
Yeah.
Pretty much single-handed. Randall Cunningham would just drop back and just chuck the ball as high as he could and as far as he could. Randy Moss would just jump up and catch it.
Yeah, no, he did things we hadn't seen a receiver do.
Ever, yeah.
Like, Jerry Rice was unbelievable. There were other great receivers. Randy Moss did things we'd never
Yeah.
seen.
He was like Superman out there.
Yeah, I mean, there were games where he'd just catch 2 passes for 90 yards and 2 scores.
Perfect example. One year, his rookie, I think it was his rookie year. They played the
Thanksgiving
Cowboys,
game.
and he had 3 catches for 162 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Right.
3 catches for 100. That's
Right.
insane. One of them was like a 5-yard out.
Right.
And he just went like that, and then went like that, and just went right down the sideline.
Yeah, no, the only other time I've seen something like that was last Saturday, Bells Falls. They just ran up and down the field the same way. Their offensive line and running backs created the same push. So I saw a little bit of that reminiscent of Randy Moss being uncoverable.
There was like no cornerback one-on-one that could stop him.
No.
Like there wasn't one.
He was 6'4" and could jump over everything.
And he ran like a 4.4 40 or 4.2 40, something like that. You know, it's insane.
Yeah. You mentioned Jerry Rice. So just a little fun fact about Jerry Rice. We talked earlier about how I kind of follow UNH football now. So, Jerry Rice for the longest time held the most career catches in college football when he was at Mississippi Valley State. Back in the early 2000s, a guy named David Ball, who's actually from Barry, Vermont, broke the record playing for UNH.
Wow.
So a kid from UNH. He ended up drafted by the Bears and I think went to the CFL for a year or two. Now he runs some performance business for sports training out in the Barry area. But yeah, he broke Jerry Rice's record at UNH in like 2005, 2006. So just a little fun fact about UNH.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right. So, Joey, now that we've had that talk, that was a pretty good list. The only thing maybe we missed, maybe primetime.
Yeah,
could have been on that
I
list.
thought about him, but the whole going to the Cowboys, he is my favorite athlete of all time. But I don't know. It's tough.
Holding a grudge.
And the whole going to the 49ers from the Falcons and then winning the Super Bowl.
That's true. You are a Falcons
And then
fan.
getting into a fight with Andre Rison the first game they play against each other, and then going to the Cowboys and winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, so he burned you a little.
Yeah, he's still my favorite player.
All right, Joey. So I got a tough one for you today.
Okay.
We're going
I'm looking forward.
We're going NFL this week. Okay. First round pick, number 13 overall in the 1989 NFL draft. He played running back, kick returner. He played for the Texas Longhorns in college, where he was 3-time first team all conference. At that time, it was the Southwest Conference. He still holds the Texas record for career receptions with 125 and receiving yards at 1,394 as a running back. He's the only player to lead Texas in all-purpose yards in all 4 years. His NFL career path was the Cleveland Browns from 1989 to 1994, the Atlanta Falcons in 95 and 96, Chargers in 97, the Arizona Cardinals, or maybe they're St. Louis Cardinals then. It was 1998. Baltimore Ravens in 99. Panthers also in 99. Then the Raiders in 2001. The Commanders in 2001. And the Packers in 02. He was a 2-time All-Pro in 1993 and 97 as a returner. 3-time Pro Bowler, 93, 94, and 97. Career totals of 541 receptions, 5,572 yards, and 31 touchdowns. 2,392 yards rushing and 12 scores. He returned 3,453 yards in punt returns and 10 touchdowns. 280 kick returns for 5,813 yards and 2 scores. His best season was 1993, where he had 63 catches, 633 yards, 3 scores, ran for 195 yards and 2 more scores. Also returned 2 punts for a touchdown in the same game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Was an All-Pro first team, Pro Bowl selection. Joey, who's our random athlete this week?
Eric Metcalf.
Oh my gosh, you got it. Well done.
That was good, though.
I thought I was going to get you with that one.
That was good.
So, but yeah, that's Eric
He
Metcalf.
definitely did travel.
Yeah.
He got around.
After he left the Falcons, it was pretty much each year. He
got different
went
team.
somewhere looking for a kick returner / third down running back.
But that proves longevity, though, to play for that many teams.
Absolutely. Well done, Joey. I thought I was going to get you there.
No, that was tough.
Because I couldn't have told you where he went to college until I looked it up. So, that was just nothing. I never would have guessed he was a first-round draft pick.
Me neither.
So good job. Well done, Joey. All right, so now we're going to turn over to our final thoughts for this week as we wrap up our show. So I'm going to pass it over to my co-host, Joey, to give you his final thoughts for this week.
All right, so we just finished our second week of college football, and there have been a few pretty well-known upsets. But I mean, I think it's too early to think about already firing a coach this early in the season. They're talking about the guy from Florida, the guy from Alabama. I'm not going to name names because I know it's DeBoyer and whatever.
I don't know the guy from Alabama.
Yeah. But I mean, it's too early. They went 9-4 last year. I know that's for Alabama. That's terrible. In Florida, they saved his job last year because they ended up winning their last 4 games and making a bowl game. But they got beat by South Florida last week, and they're making a big deal about this guy getting fired. South Florida's a good team.
Yeah, Napier.
Yeah. They were talking about him getting fired early last season when Miami went to the swamp and beat the hell out of him in game 1. And but they bounced back. They ended up making a bowl game, and they ended up having a decent year. Now, in the second game into the season, they're 1-1, and they're already talking about him getting fired, not even lasting the whole season because they have a tough schedule. I mean, they have a brutal schedule coming up. But, I mean, it's not his fault they're in the SEC. He knew what he was getting into, but at the same time, they know what conference they're in. Right. They're the ones that let all these other teams come into the SEC, So I just think it's unfair with the schedule that they're playing. What's this, his second year? Maybe third?
I think second,
yeah. It's like, I think it's, colleges are too quick to jump the gun. And there's so much money that they have to pay out, too. And it's the same thing with the Boyer and Alabama.
The NIL stuff does change everything.
So I just think, I don't know. That's what I had this week. I just think it's too early to fire a coach 2 weeks into a season.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you. Unless you're coming off a season where he was almost fired in the first place,
right?
Or some behavioral issues with the team,
no, exactly,
like that.
Something like that.
Usually there has to be something more than just performance for 2 games into it. So yeah, I would agree. It's a little too early for that. Yeah. So for my final thoughts this week, I want to touch on something that I got to see for the first time ever this week. I went to a field hockey game. I was at the Bellows Falls Brattleboro field hockey game on, I want to say, I can't remember if it was Tuesday or Wednesday night now.
I think it was Tuesday.
Yes, it was Tuesday. Bellows Falls won overtime 1-0. I've never seen field hockey before, so I was amazed at just how fast this game was, at how intense the action was, at the incredible shape that the kids are in. They're running nonstop, carrying sticks, and like I think I mentioned to you before, like the toughness was unbelievable. I watched a couple of them get hit with balls right on their fingers, holding their sticks, and I'm like, I've seen men in Saturday morning basketball jam a finger and need to come out of the game,
right?
And these girls just literally started chasing the person who hit them to get the ball back, like. I was extremely impressed and am a fan of field hockey after what I saw Tuesday night.
That's awesome.
So Coach Curson and the Terriers, thank you for having me Tuesday night. Well done in your victory, and good luck on the rest of your season. So that's what we've got for our final thoughts this week. So as we get ready for next week's show, Joey, it'll be a lot of the same. We've got some more local sports to cover. I think I've invited a coach to maybe come on or maybe do a pre-recorded interview with us. So we might have that going for next week. I know you've talked potentially about talking with someone about training with football, so we got a few different things that we could be bringing down the road here. And like anyone who has any photos, any highlights, anything like that, please feel free to send them forward to us. We'll get them included in the show, and we just look forward to bringing you more sports as we move forward. So thank you for joining us tonight.
All right, thank you.